Hello, good people of YouTube. Sealord here, and World of Warships is a video game. Video games are meant to be fun. They're meant to be an escape from the dullness of day-to-day life, and a getaway, if you will. We tend to unfortunately lose the plot of that quite a bit when it comes to World of Warships. So, today, we are going over my top 5 fun ships. These are ships that are just a blast to play, ships that I go to when I'm having a bit of a downer. I just want to play some, some goofy, fun ships. And that's the subject of today's top 5 list. Now, before we get into this video, if you do enjoy having fun, make sure you check out yesterday's video. We were back in American Truck Simulator in yesterday's Sunday video, and probably the craziest episode we had yet of that, with some hijinks and some sleep-deprived incidents, shall we say. Yes, that is the actual thumbnail, and it might look like a fever dream. I promise it'll make sense if you watch the video. But yeah, just some goofy funness in yesterday's video. But back to the subject of today's video. So again, these are my top 5 fun ships, and I am only including ships that are currently available in game. So if you're thinking about ships that have been removed, they will not be included on this list, just so that if you are looking for a fun boat, you can get one of these guys. I want to tell you that, hey, go get the Massachusetts. This isn't available anymore, which sadly it's not, but Black Friday is coming up. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Coming down with number 5, I should say starting at number 5, we have the newest kid on the block, the Karl XIV. This ship has quickly won me over. So what the Karl XIV is a unfinished World War I era German battle cruiser hull that, according to Wargaming, was sold to Sweden. A little bit of Wargaming's own lore there. And then the Swedish finished her with German 305mm guns and just a ton of secondaries. Now, if you look at the mini-map at the bottom right and you haven't seen my Karl XIV review, which if you want an in-depth explanation of how this ship is and how it plays, you can check out that video, which is Saturday's video. But anyway, you notice that their secondaries only get out to about 10.5 kilometers. And you might be thinking, well, that's quite bad by Tier 9 levels. And yeah, it is, unless your ship's detection range is essentially your secondary range, which it is with the Karl XIV. Which means that 9 out of 10 times when you get spotted, whatever's spotting you is in secondary range. Which is, yeah, crazy. Some dude's just sailing along, then suddenly there's a whole Tier 9 battleship 10.5 kilometers away from him. That's a sticky situation, regardless of whatever class that you are in. And as you can notice too, she has many secondary guns. Which means that, yeah, there's quite the flurry of secondary shells going at the target, which is of course great when dealing with DDs because, yeah, that's a bad day for a DD. Battleships and cruisers too, just through sheer volume of fire, you'll find yourself pinning their superstructure, or if they have really thin armor, pinning their armor and setting many afire. Now, while the secondary guns don't have the pinning power of the Germans, you do have 12 305mm guns to follow them up with. What I tend to do is just go full damage over time and don't take IFHE and deal with the relatively low pins of the secondary gun to just go full fire chance, because with your 12 305mm guns spamming HE or whatever it is that you were targeting, they're going to be burning down mighty fast. And while yes, their pins are relatively low for their caliber, the secondaries can still pin the DD's armor. Every gun on this boat can pin most Tier 9 DD's armor. So when it comes to DD repellent, it's great. It's really good once you get the secondaries built up. Out on top of that too, you have two, apparently they're not hollow torpedoes, they're more along the lines of the Tier 8 Pan-Euro DD's torch, which I think was at the Oland, which can go 13 kilometers and 86 knots. And if you're doing the math right there in your head, this is a battleship that can stealth torpedo very well with 90 knot torps. Essentially, if you build into them, you can actually get the speed up to 90 knots. And they reload in 80-second space before, again, you build into them. So that's, yeah. When your battleship can stealth torp and essentially stealth secondary, you've got a winning combination on your hand just for this sheer joy in it. But anyway, again, if you want to see a more detailed review of the Karl XIV, check out Saturday's video. But going down to number 4, we have another Pan-Euro entry, and it's another Tier 9 as well. And this is the Jager, the new Tier 9 Pan-Euro DD. I say new, I mean, she's been out for a couple of months now, but she's still relatively new, especially considering, you know, this game is like 8 years old at this point. But yeah, the Jager, another entry from the Pan-Euro tree, and the Jager is just so dumb. So when she was originally released, most of us took a look at her and was like, oh god, this is disgusting. At best, a tier 4 DD at tier 9? What is Wargaming smoking? Apparently whatever they were smoking was the good stuff, because they, oh boy, they got this ship to frickin' work. So if you remember what I said about the Karl's torpedoes, that they're fast and you can stealth torp, the Jager takes that to another level, and it's rightfully on a DD this time. And the Jager is one of the stealthiest DDs in game, especially at tier 9. I believe it's only outspotted by, the Japanese destroyers. So this is a DD with Pan-Euro torps, which means they're fast. They're really fast if you build into them. I think you can get them with, I think it's Swirsky who gets the boost to the torpedo speed when you get a certain amount of torpedo hits. I think you can get them well north of 100 and something knots. It's ridiculous once you get her really going. Add on that too that the torpedoes have a relatively fast reload time too, for having 12 torpedoes on your ship, and it's just a goofball of a ship. Now, it is actually pretty well balanced, because if you do find yourself caught with the Jager, you're kind of doomed, because it's just not the best gunboat. They gave up her speed, the speed of her torpedoes means she had to give up her guns. 95 knot torps. You don't need guns at that point. Thankfully, she does have a heal, so you can kind of get out of a bad situation if you do find yourself in one. So you got that going for you, at least, with the Jager. And again, it's just a dumb ship. Very fast torpedoes. We're level 100 knots if you build into it, again, if you have Swirsky, which means that even someone like me, who's a terrible torpedo boat captain, I can make the Jager work. And if I can make the Jager work, you can make it work. And it's just goofy how stealthy the thing is. With a full build on it, it's 5.4 kilometers. Like I said, you're only really being outspotted by the Japanese DDs at that point, and if that, because again, I'm not a torpedo boat captain, I haven't gone up the Japanese DD line. All I know is that they're normally the ones that I don't see before I run into them. And yes, I have stealth torped other DDs in the Jager. It's just a dumb ship, and a fun ship at that. Going our way down now to number 3, we have the Tier 10 British battle cruiser, the St. Vincent. The St. Vincent. Oh, the St. Vincent. 9 457mm British guns on a British battle cruiser hull with speed boost, getting this ship up and rolling well north of 30, I think 40 knots if you want to throw like brisk on there and such. Such a ridiculous ship. Battle cruiser with 18-inch guns that admittedly aren't all that accurate, which is a pretty good thing. And then the St. Vincent is really meant to be played from mid-range, and it excels at that. When you get her going with her speed boost, you these quick hit-and-run attacks, you show up, blast somebody's broadside with your 9 18-inch guns, and run away before they can do too much to you. Now, they can do a lot to you because you are a battle cruiser and your armor is thinner. Again, if you play your cards right, use your speed boost and her maneuverability and speed to her advantage. It's a very good hit-and-run battleship, great for rushing down a flank where the enemy team isn't looking, and then popping up and saying, "Hi, fellas," and then deleting a couple of ships before you run away. Not to mention as well, she does come equipped with the, what do they call it? The torpedo, the adjustment of angle torpedoes, where gyroscopic torpedoes is what they actually are. You get to set the heading beforehand, so the torpedoes, even though the torpedo tubes are in the hull of the ship, they come out, they turn, they get going along the heading that you had selected beforehand, which means that you have really good torpedo angles. And they're goofy torps too. They're 30K alpha torpedoes. Now you only get one per side, so there is that. But man, it's just fun. Something's hilarious about seeing one torpedo hit a ship for 20 to 25,000 damage after their torpedo protection eats whatever percentage of it it's going to eat, which also makes her great for close-in engagements. It's a nice ace up the sleeve. It does, of course, have a longer arming time because it does have to do the maneuvering to whatever angle you selected, but it's just a goofball of a ship, and it gets the funny dry dock heal as well. So if you do eat dirt, you can repair some of that health and keep yourself in the fight. But it's pretty balanced because it is a super easy ship to delete. I've clapped them for most of their health on several occasions because they goof up. And again, there are battle cruisers and their armor is quite thin, but a fun, balanced ship, one that's well worth the grind. The British battle cruisers, in my opinion, is one of the best lines to grind. It's a pretty fun experience up and down the tech tree, so I gotta give it to Wargaming there too. That's a newer line that they implemented very well. All right, going down to number 2, we've got everyone's favorite pizza delivery system, the Tier 9 Research Bureau destroyer, the Paolo Emilio. Now, to be clear, the Paolo Emilio is not the first Research Bureau ship you should get. You should get it, but it's a silly boy. This ship has one goal: to get its torpedoes to the target hot and fresh. It's designed to torpedo rush to YOLO rush, hence its name, the YOLO Emilio. The way it's set up is that you have the Italian exhaust smoke generator, but it only lasts roughly the amount of time it takes to cover, about 7 kilometers to a target. Why 7 kilometers? Well, that's the ship's detection range, which means that what happens, you find a ship, you sail up to them at 7.2 kilometers, you pop your exhaust smoke. The exhaust smoke will run out right when you get to around 2 kilometers from the target from max speed, which means that you're coming out of your smoke screen right at the point you would have got detected by the target either way if you're in or out of smoke, and now you're on their side shoving torpedoes into their broadside. And if they weren't paying attention to the 60-knot smoke screen, you've got yourself a perfect YOLO target. And her torpedoes are so powerful, essentially one rack of torps can take down 99% of Tier 9 battleships, 100% of Tier 9 battleships that aren't the Musashi, if you know what I'm saying. Now, the fun part is trying to chain your attacks together, because the Apollo has not 1, not 2, but 3 torpedo racks, which means in a good situation, you can get 3 ships in one run. It is possible. I've done it. It's hilarious. This ship is dumb. It's fun. That's the Paolo Emilio. Finally, that brings us down to our number 1 slot, and that is the Tier 10 German battlecruiser, the Schlieffen. Schlieffen, my beloved. One of the few brawling battleships that is still able to get it done in 2023 in World of Warships and in most matches. Why? Because it's so hyper-specialized for brawling that if you know what you're doing, you know the fundamentals of brawling, you're going to be able to make something happen with the Schlieffen. It's fast, you get 2 racks of torps per side, and you have just an insane amount of secondaries on this ship. I think it's something like 30 secondaries aside or something like that. It's truly a stupid, the amount of secondaries that this thing has. Now, they are the smaller caliber secondary guns, which means that you do have to take IFHE in order to get them to reliably pin. That's proper English. So you have to take that, and that kind of helps balance it out. Plus, it is a battle cruiser's armor scheme isn't the best, so other battleships can typically bully the Schlieffen if it's called out in the open, which is why you got to play a little smart. Hop from island to island, use island cover, ambush those ships that aren't expecting you to come ripping and roaring around the corner around 35 knots, and show them the greatness of German secondary guns, and call it a day. It's a fun ship, just like the British battlecruiser line, which came out, I think the British battlecruisers came out, after the German battlecruisers. And those are 2 great tech lines that we got back to back. And again, like with the battlecruiser tech line, I gotta give props to Wargaming because the German battlecruiser line is truly fun up and down the line, just like the British battlecruiser line. And for those of us that like brawling and we like our secondary ships, it was such a wonderful time when these ships were released. And now we have airship escort mode and randoms, a mode that these ships excel in. So it's just great to be a German battlecruiser enjoyer at this moment, in my opinion. And again, even if you don't get airship escorting, you still get some of those games that just, take forever to get to close range. If you bide your time and play smartly, the Schlieffen will still do very well in those modes too. The torpedoes do certainly help. They're long-range torps. They are very slow, and that is a downside. But you'd be surprised how often players forget you have torpedoes, and you might just launch a couple of sets at whatever ship is pushing up, and they'll just forget that you have torps, and they'll just walk right into them, and it's great for that. So guys, those are my top 5 fun ships. Let me know in the comments down below which ships are your top 5 fun ships. What ships would you have removed from this list? What ships would you have included? Let me know all that jazz down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm on the way to 75,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys have a great Monday, and a great rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.